Hello, 5th graders. Today we're going to go over the 4 types of triangles, adding mixed numbers, time conversions, and how to multiply fractions. So for the first one, 4 types of triangles, we're just going to list the triangles that are equilateral, isosceles, scalene, and right angle. So in this section, we're just going to briefly go over the 4 different types of triangles. So on the right side over here, I listed the key descriptions to identify which triangle belongs to which. So if you look over here, equilateral triangle is supposed to have 3 equal sides, which means all of the sides are equal to each other. Isosceles has 2 equal sides. Scalene has no equal sides, and right angle triangle is supposed to have a right angle, just one right angle. So for this, we're gonna go over number 3 and number 6 over here. So if you look at these triangles inside the boxes, they're just like a brief, they're just a basic drawing. There is gonna be no measurements. You don't have to measure anything. We're just gonna eye them and see if they are equilateral, isosceles, scalene, or right angle. So for number 3, what I like to do when determining what type of triangle this is, I like to go first right angle. So I first check if it has a right angle or not. So number 3 over here, if you look at all of the angles over here, it looks like there is no right angle, so it is not a right angle triangle. Next, I like to see how many equal sides there are, or if there is any. So looking over this, it looks like there's 2 equal sides over here, this and this. So that means it has to be an isosceles triangle over here because it has 2 equal sides and it has no right angle. So I'm going to write isosceles over here. Now let's look at number 6 over here. So again, I like to first check if it has a right angle or not. And number 6 over here, I look at this, no, this, and it looks like this is a right angle. If you look at it, it forms a 90 degrees. This is a right angle. It has to form a 90 degrees angle. So it looks like this is what it does. So I'm going to say this is a right angle triangle. And so that's basically just how you do this section. So now let's look at the second section. It's going to be adding mixed numbers. And it says to add. Adding mixed numbers is pretty easy. So we're going to look at number 1 and number 2 together. So number 1 is as 2 1/4 plus 1 1/4. So to be able to add this very easily, you have to think of the mixed numbers as like this. So 2 1/4 is basically 2 plus 1/4. So that means 1 1/4 is basically 1 plus 1/4. Oops, 1 1/4. So from here, we can just literally just add them. So 2 and 1, we could add them to equal 3. So I'm just going to write 3 over here. And now as for this, we could add 1/4 and 1/4, which is 2/4, which can be simplified to half. So it's basically just 3 plus half, which we can write as 3 halves. Number 1 is just 3 halves. And number 2 is just the same thing. So 3 1/2 plus 1. So 3 1/2 can be written as 3 plus half, it's just plus 1. And so this time it looks like we can add the whole numbers. I usually like to add the whole numbers together and add the fractions together. So 3 plus 1 is 4, and just 4 plus half, which is basically the same as 4 1/2. So number 2 is just 4 1/2. And that's just it for this section. So for the third section, we're going to be converting time. So over here, we have the conversion of 1 week equals 7 days. And over here, we have the conversion of 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So I'm just going to go over this section. So what we're actually basically doing here is determining how many days, or converting between weeks and days. So over here, we're given 28 days. And now it looks like the weeks is blank, so now we have to determine how many weeks are in 28 days. So to do this, we just have to convert it. So if you just think about it, if you have 28 days over here, 7 was multiplied by 4 to equal 28. That means the left side also has to be multiplied by 4. So the 4th week is when you will have 28 days. So you will just write 4 here, 4 over here, because we know that 4 weeks equals 28 days. So that's basically how you fill out this chart. So if you look over here, it looks like the left is just going by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So your job is to determine how many days are in week 2, how many days are in 3 weeks, how many days are in 5 weeks, how many days are in 6, and so on until you fill out the whole chart. So again, it's just the same thing for this chart. It's just the conversion is in 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So I'm going to convert 2 hours into minutes to go over with you. So 2 hours, if you place 2 hours over here, now we're determining how many minutes in 2 hours. So 1 must multiply by 2 to get 2, then 60 has to be multiplied by 2, which you will get 120 minutes. That means 2 hours equals 120 minutes. And that's just very easy, and that's just it. So now the last section is we're going to be multiplying fractions, and we're going to be finding the product. So over here, it says number 1, we write it as 1/4 times 1/4. Now, different from when you're adding fractions, you have to make sure the denominators are the same. But when you're multiplying fractions, it really doesn't matter if you have a common denominator or not. They can be different because all you're going to do when you're multiplying fractions is you're just going to multiply like this. You're just going to multiply across. So what's 1 times 1? Well, that's 1. And what's 4 times 4? 16. And that's just it. Multiplying fractions is a whole lot easier than adding fractions. So number 3 over here is 2/5 times 2/3. And again, yes, you notice they have no common denominator, but it doesn't matter when you're multiplying because all you have to do is multiply across. So over here, 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 3 is 15. So I'm going to write 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 3 is 15, and that's just it. So make sure for your other answers that all your fractions after you multiply is in the simplest form. These are already in the simplest form, so you don't have to worry about it. But this is just it. Multiplying fractions, don't worry about it having not a common denominator because all you have to do is just multiply across. And that's it for today.